All right, let's dive into a real classic today, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, it's packed with stories and advice from some of the biggest achievers, throughout history.
Exactly. And we're going to pull out the absolute gold just for you.
What I find so fascinating about this book is that it's not just about like financial success.
Right.
It really delves into mindset, the
Yeah.
power of thought, how our thoughts shape reality.
Absolutely. And it really emphasizes that, growing part of Think and Grow Rich, it sounds like you're looking to apply these principles to, not just finances, but to personal growth as well.
Definitely.
So we'll definitely focus on the actionable stuff,
Yeah.
the how-to and how it all connects to your goals. Let's jump right in with the story of Edwin Barnes.
Okay.
He had this burning desire to not just work for Thomas Edison, but to work with him.
Yeah, and it's important to note here, he didn't just, wish for this.
Right.
He actively visualized himself as Edison's partner. He held on to that vision with, like, incredible focus.
Yeah.
Even when, things were tough.
He showed up at Edison's lab, practically nothing, took a low-level job, and just kept his eyes on the prize. Talk about persistence.
Yeah.
Years later, he got his chance, and eventually, he became Edison's partner
Yeah.
in making the Edison dictating machine. Think about your own goals.
Oh.
Just like Barnes had that burning desire to work with Edison, what's that one goal you have that you can visualize achieving with that same, unwavering focus?
That's the core of what Think and Grow Rich is all about, It's not just wanting something.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating that inner fire, that burning desire that pushes you forward even when you hit those roadblocks.
And speaking of roadblocks, the book is packed with stories of people who took what looked like failure and turned it into a launch pad for something amazing.
Right.
Take R.U. Darby.
Okay.
He went searching for gold during the gold rush, but came up empty-handed.
Right. But instead of giving up, he used that experience to fuel his success later on. He learned from what he called stopping 3 feet from gold and applied that same never give up attitude to his sales career, eventually selling over $1 million in insurance every year. The lesson here: setbacks can be reframed as fuel for future success.
So powerful, it really makes you think.
Yeah.
How often have we let setbacks define us when we could use them to catapult us forward?
Think and Grow Rich hammers home the point that setbacks are going to happen.
Right.
It's inevitable, but it's how we respond to them, how we learn and adapt that determines whether we ultimately succeed or not.
Yeah.
Another great example is Marshall Field, the retail giant.
Oh, yeah.
After the Great Chicago Fire wiped out his store.
He didn't just rebuild. He decided right then and there to build, quote, the world's greatest store on that very spot.
Yes.
And he did it. He didn't let the setback define him. He used it as fuel for even bigger things.
Exactly, and that connects back to the idea of having definite plans, which the book highlights as essential for reaching any goal.
Right. And this is where the story of Henry Ford and his engineers comes in.
Okay.
Ford challenged them to create an engine that seemed impossible. They kept telling him it couldn't be done, but Ford was insistent. He told them, quote, stay on the job until you succeed, no matter how long it takes.
Wow.
And they did. They eventually cracked the code and built the engine, proving that if you're persistent and have a clear plan, you can achieve what seems impossible. It's all about breaking those big goals down into smaller, actionable steps and tackling them with, unwavering focus.
I love how this all ties together.
Me too.
It reminds me of another core concept from the book, the Mastermind. Hill describes this as a group of like-minded individuals all working together toward a common goal.
Oh yeah, the mastermind.
Such a powerful concept. It taps into synergy, shared knowledge, and the incredible boost you get from surrounding yourself with people who inspire and challenge you.
Absolutely.
Think about who makes up your mastermind.
Yeah.
Are you actively seeking out people who can help you reach new heights?
It makes you wonder what we could achieve if we all put more effort into cultivating our own mastermind alliances, right?
It's worth exploring, that's for sure. And speaking of surrounding yourself with the right people, think about Henry Ford.
Right?
He was close with brilliant minds like Thomas Edison, Luther Burbank, and Harvey Firestone.
Wow.
The exchange of ideas, the support, the shared drive to innovate. It's no wonder Ford achieved so much.
Now, another part of Think and Grow Rich that really resonates with me is the emphasis on specialized knowledge. Hill argues that practical knowledge is often more valuable than formal education, and in many cases can be a faster track to success.
Absolutely. And he gives us some incredible examples. Edison only had 3 months of formal schooling, and Ford didn't even finish the 6th grade.
That's wild.
It really challenges the traditional ideas of what it takes to succeed.
And in today's world, with online learning and all the ways to develop specialized skills, this idea feels more relevant than ever. What areas of expertise could you develop to become even more valuable?
The possibilities are endless. The key, as Hill emphasizes, is to not just acquire that knowledge, but to organize it into a plan of action and aim it toward a specific goal.
Yeah.
Knowledge without action is like a car without an engine. It's not going to get you anywhere. So how can you take what you know or what you're learning and turn it into a roadmap for achieving your goals?
All right, here's where things get really interesting. Think and Grow Rich dives into the power of imagination, which Hill calls, quote, the workshop of the mind, where ideas are born and transformed into reality. He talks about 2 types of imagination.
Okay.
Synthetic, which combines existing ideas, and creative, which brings forth entirely new concepts.
And this is where the story of the enchanted kettle comes in.
Right. What's the story again? It's been a while.
So an old doctor sells his secret formula for a tonic, along with this big iron kettle, to a young drug clerk. But the doctor didn't realize his formula was missing a key ingredient. The clerk figures this out, adds the missing piece, and the tonic becomes a massive success. Hill leaves us wondering, what was that secret ingredient?
It really makes you think outside the box, doesn't it? It's like a challenge to find our own secret ingredient for success in whatever we're pursuing.
It's all about adding your own unique touch, your own spin on things.
Right.
What makes you different? How can you leverage your unique strengths and perspective?
I love that. It's like Hill is saying, don't just follow the recipe, invent your own. Now, along with imagination, Think and Grow Rich introduces this idea of the 6th sense. What exactly is that?
It's like the creative imagination working on overdrive.
Okay.
Hill describes it as this intuitive knowing, those sudden bursts of insight that lead to breakthroughs and innovation.
He gives some pretty compelling examples, like Dr. Elmer Gates, who came up with over 200 patents by, get this, sitting for ideas. He would literally lock himself away in a dark, silent room and just let ideas flow to him.
Do you think that's something we can all tap into, or is it, a special gift that only certain people have?
That's a fascinating question. It certainly makes you think about how much untapped potential we all might have within us. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The book really pushes you to consider the possibilities, and I think that's a perfect place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground, from burning desire to the power of imagination, and even that mysterious 6th sense.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore some even more powerful concepts from Think and Grow Rich, including how to harness the power of the subconscious mind and those 6 crucial steps to achieving your goals. But for now,
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
welcome back to our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. As we were discussing the power of the mastermind, it reminded me of one of the most intriguing and often misunderstood chapters in the book, The Mystery of Sex Transmutation.
Oh, yes. That's a chapter that definitely raised some eyebrows when the book was first published.
Sure.
And even today, people tend to kind of misinterpret it.
Exactly. It's important to understand that Hill was not advocating for promiscuity or anything like that.
Right.
What he was highlighting was the power of sexual energy and how, when channeled and transmuted, it can fuel incredible creativity, ambition, and drive.
So it's about taking that raw energy and redirecting it towards something bigger than ourselves.
Precisely. Hill believed this transmutation was a key factor in the success of many great leaders, artists, and innovators throughout history.
Yeah, I remember he gave some interesting historical examples.
Yeah.
He talked about Napoleon and how his deep love for Josephine kind of seemed to fuel his ambition and military successes.
Right. Hill argues that throughout history, the desire to please a loved one has been a powerful driving force behind many great achievements. Of course, he also acknowledged that not everyone with a strong libido is a genius.
Right.
But those who achieve greatness have often learned to channel that energy into creative and productive pursuits.
And he offers some practical advice on how to do this, doesn't he?
He does.
Like focusing on developing a strong personality, cultivating self-control, and finding healthy outlets for that energy.
Right.
Like creative pursuits, like art, music, or writing.
Yes, he emphasizes that the goal isn't to suppress or eliminate these natural desires, but to understand their power and use them wisely.
I see.
This ties in nicely with another powerful concept from Think and Grow Rich, the power of the subconscious mind. Hill describes it as this incredible powerhouse
Okay.
that can be programmed for success and wealth.
It's a hidden engine driving our actions and behaviors, right?
Exactly.
But how do we tap into that power and direct it towards the goals we want to achieve?
Well, this is where the emotion of faith comes in. Hill states that, quote, faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches.
Okay.
And it's not just about thinking positive thoughts.
Right.
It's about truly believing, feeling those thoughts with deep conviction.
So it's about aligning our thoughts and our feelings, creating a powerful force for manifestation.
Exactly. Hill believed that our thoughts, especially when infused with strong emotion, can actually influence our reality. He even suggests that the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between constructive and destructive thoughts. It acts on whatever emotions we feed it most strongly.
So if we're constantly dwelling on fears and doubts, those negative thoughts can actually manifest in our lives. That's a pretty sobering thought, isn't it?
It is, but it's also incredibly empowering.
Right.
It means we have the power to choose our thoughts.
Yeah.
And consciously cultivate the emotions that will drive us towards our goals.
So how do we do that? How do we reprogram our subconscious mind for success?
Hill offers several techniques, including autosuggestion, which is essentially repeating positive affirmations to ourselves,
Okay.
and visualization, which involves vividly imagining ourselves already in possession of our desired outcomes.
So it's about consistently feeding our minds with positive imagery and affirmations, training our subconscious to believe that what we want is not only possible, but inevitable.
Exactly. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do I actually put these principles into practice? That's where the 6 steps Hill outlines in the book come in.
Ah, yes, the 6 steps. These are the practical steps we can take to turn these powerful concepts into tangible results.
They are, and we've already touched on a few of them. Burning desire, definite plans, specialized knowledge. But let's revisit them in a bit more detail
All right.
so you can see how they all fit together.
I'm ready. Let's dive in.
All right. Step 1 is something we've discussed already. Fixing in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Hill argues that you can't just vaguely wish for wealth, you have to be specific.
So no more wishing for a lot of money. We have to define exactly how much we want.
Right, and not just the amount, but also the time frame in which you intend to acquire it.
Yeah.
This creates a clear target for your subconscious mind to focus on.
Okay.
It's like setting the GPS coordinates for your financial destination.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
So we've got our destination locked in. What's step 2?
Step 2 is determining exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. Hill emphasizes that there's no such thing as something for nothing. You have to offer value in exchange for wealth. What are you bringing to the table? What skills, knowledge, or talents can you leverage to create that exchange of value?
It could be your time, your expertise, your creativity, or even a unique product or service that you create, right?
Absolutely. Now, step 3 is establishing a definite date by which you intend to possess the money you desire. This creates a sense of urgency and helps you stay focused.
Got it.
It prevents those goals from just floating around in the ether.
It's like setting a deadline for ourselves, which can be a powerful motivator. What's next?
Step 4 is where the rubber meets the road, creating a definite plan for carrying out your desire. And here's the kicker, beginning at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action.
So no more waiting for the perfect time or for all the stars to align. We need to take action, even if it's just small steps, right?
Exactly. The momentum of action will create its own opportunities and draw in the resources you need. It's like jumping into the river and trusting that the current will carry you downstream.
Okay, so we've got our goal, our plan, and we're taking action. What's step 5?
Step 5 is putting it all down on paper, literally. Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire, the time limit for its acquisition, what you intend to give in return, and the plan you'll follow to achieve it. This is more than just a to-do list.
Okay.
It's a powerful declaration of your intent.
It's like creating a blueprint for our success, something we can refer back to, revise, and keep ourselves accountable to.
Precisely. And finally, step 6 is to read your written statement aloud twice daily, once before bed and once upon waking. As you read, see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of what you desire.
This step reinforces those goals and plans in our subconscious mind and helps us maintain a positive and expectant attitude. It's like priming the pump for success, isn't it?
It is. Remember, the subconscious mind is most receptive when we're in a relaxed state, like just before sleep or upon waking. These 6 steps, when followed consistently and with faith, create a powerful formula for attracting wealth and success.
It sounds almost deceptively simple, but I guess the real challenge is in the consistent application, right?
You got it. And it's important to remember that Hill acknowledges there will be challenges along the way. There will be setbacks and obstacles.
For sure.
But it's how we respond to those challenges, how we persevere and learn from those setbacks, that ultimately determines whether we succeed.
So it's not about avoiding failure. It's about developing that resilience and learning to bounce back stronger than before.
Exactly. And that's where the principles of persistence, faith, and the mastermind all come into play. They provide the support and resilience we need to weather any storm.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to emphasize that Think and Grow Rich isn't just about money. He'll believe these principles could be applied to any area of life where we desire to achieve something great.
So whether it's relationships, health, creativity, or anything else that we're passionate about, these principles can help us get there.
Absolutely. It's about identifying our desires, crafting a plan, taking consistent action, and believing in our ability to achieve those goals.
It's a holistic approach to living a life of purpose and fulfillment. I love how it all ties together.
Now, as we move toward the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What is your definition of riches? Because as Think and Grow Rich reminds us, true wealth is about so much more than just money.
That's such an important question for us all to consider. What are your deepest desires? What kind of legacy do you want to create? What brings you true joy and fulfillment?
We'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some more powerful insights from Think and Grow Rich and uncover some strategies for overcoming those fears that might be holding us back from achieving our full potential. But for now,
hold on to that thought. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. As we wrap up our exploration of this classic, I want to bring up something you might not expect to find in a book about building wealth: fear.
You know, it might seem counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
Hill dedicates an entire chapter to how to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear.
He argues that fear is one of the biggest roadblocks to success.
Makes sense when you think about it.
Right?
Fear can, stop us in our tracks, prevent us from taking risks, and even, sabotage our efforts before we even begin.
Absolutely. Hill breaks down fear into 6 main categories.
Okay, so we've got fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, and fear of death.
Yeah, these are fears that resonate with almost everyone on some level. Hill dives into each one, exploring their origins and how they show up in our lives. For instance, he says the fear of poverty often comes from a deep-seated belief that resources are limited, and we have to fight tooth and nail for our share.
Which leads to feelings of scarcity, insecurity, and a constant feeling of being, behind.
Exactly. And the fear of criticism can make us afraid to be our true selves, to step outside the box or share our ideas with the world.
So we end up playing it safe, conforming to what others expect, and ultimately dimming our own light.
Right. And then there's the fear of ill health,
Mm-hmm.
which can lead to excessive worry about symptoms, sometimes even making us more susceptible to illness.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And the fear of loss of love can make us clingy and afraid to be vulnerable in relationships, which, ironically, can push love away.
It's true. The fear of old age is often rooted in anxieties about physical and mental decline,
Right.
and the societal stigma that sometimes comes with aging.
And finally, the fear of death, which is, perhaps the most fundamental and universal fear of all.
Hill doesn't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
He acknowledges the reality of death, but encourages us to, embrace life fully in the present moment.
Yeah.
Now, here's the crucial takeaway.
Okay.
Hill argues that we have the power to overcome these fears through decision.
So it's about consciously choosing courage over fear and taking action even when, doubts creep in.
Precisely. Hill uses the signing of the Declaration of Independence as a powerful example.
Oh, right. Those 56 men essentially signed their own death warrants. If the revolution failed, they would have been hanged as traitors.
And yet, they made a deliberate choice to stand up for what they believed in, despite the enormous risks. Their courage and conviction changed the course of history. It's a powerful example of how we can overcome our fears and achieve extraordinary things when we make a firm decision to do so.
So how can we apply this to our own lives? How do we conquer those fears that are holding us back?
Well, Hill offers some practical advice.
Okay.
He suggests identifying our fears, writing them down, and, really analyzing them objectively.
Okay.
Once we understand them, we can start to develop strategies to overcome them.
He also emphasizes the importance of positive self-talk, visualization, and building a supportive network of people around us.
Right. And remember the power of action. Taking action, even if it's a small step, can build confidence and momentum, chipping away at the hold fear has over us.
So as we bring our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich to a close, I
Yeah.
think the key takeaway is this. Our thoughts have incredible power. They can either limit us or liberate us.
That's it in a nutshell. When we understand and apply the principles in this book, we unlock our potential, achieve our goals, and live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. It's a timeless message that continues to inspire and empower people generations later.
And it's a reminder that the path to success is rarely smooth. There will be bumps along the way, but Think and Grow Rich teaches us that it's our persistence, our faith in ourselves, and our willingness to never give up on our dreams that ultimately determine our success. So keep thinking, keep growing, and never stop believing in the power of your own mind.
Until next time, keep diving deep.